Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74. Today we'll be looking at the TCL 6 Series 2018 versus the TCL 6 Series R625 2019 version. That was reviewed just yesterday from Rtings.com. It was also reviewed by David Katzelmeyer on CNET about 8 days ago. So, quickly, before we start, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. This is a community-based channel where we go through the information that is out there, which is why you'll see us discuss videos from Vincent, Digital Trends, and their reviews. And what we do here is more of a community where we talk amongst each other. The best information is within the comments, and we basically talk about it as friends. I'm not stealing their content. For a lot of you to think I steal their videos, I don't play their videos. I will reference them, and we go into a deep dive. Now, between Digital Trends and Rtings.com, I have their support. I have talked to them, Caleb Dennison on Digital Trends, and direct messages to Rtings, which encourage me to do videos, which also helps them out as well. And I am a fan of Vincent's work. And all we're really doing is taking their analysis and going a little bit deeper into it, whether you've seen them or not. I will always attach the article or the website or the video in the description. And I think it's helpful for us to go and do a deep dive. Why I want to do this dive is that TCL is really doing well, and I believe snatched the crown from Vizio. And Hisense is there too, as far as being the high-end, or I should say high-spec display at a very reasonable price. Last year, towards the end of the year, it's hard to tell when they released their displays. They also offered a 75-inch version of their 2018 display, which was $1,000 at the time, which was incredible. We did video on that as well. $1,000 for a 75-inch display with full array and Dolby Vision is very, very impressive. Unfortunately, TCL also has a bad reputation in terms of screen uniformity, banding, artifacting, things of that nature, which can really take you out of the experience. I want to see this year if they've improved that. They did improve it at the tail end of last year. We're hoping that this year is different. These are the things that I want to show you in terms of comparison. A lot of times what we'll do, as you saw with the Vizio Quantum XP series, is think that it's going to actually improve on the Quantum before that. In some ways it did, in other ways it did not. Unfortunately, it doesn't always improve in ways that we need it to. The trend has been improving in design while losing peak brightness or contrast ratio. We've seen that with LEDs in the last few years. For me, this is catering to the masses in regards to the visuals of the body of the display versus the specs that we care most about, namely peak brightness, contrast, and screen uniformity, and motion. So, TCL, it positions itself as being the king of the affordable market. I do talk about them quite a bit. I do recommend their displays. The 2018 version is on your left, the 2019 on your right. You can use this yourself in the tools that they provide on their website. Is a very helpful between Rtings and Vincent. Rtings buys their own displays and doesn't cherry pick them. Vincent gets his from friends at local stores and, is maybe sponsored, maybe not. I don't think that he's bought, but I like Rtings in the sense they buy them, they do what they want with them, they don't get returned back. Where a lot of other websites like Digital Trends, they are gifted theirs, they send them back, and they get to cherry pick which one is most accurate and looks good out of the box. Rtings buys theirs. As you saw with their OLED test of a year of destroying all those TVs, they own them. So quickly, the 75-inch version of the 2018 is available. It is not available on the 2019 yet. That is disappointing. Again, 2019 is on the right. We're going to fly through these. Reflections are better handled last year. Now, guys, these numbers here don't always mean what they sound like in terms of these are based on last year's models. This is going to be based on the 2019 models, which is weird because 2018 displays to me are last year as it is going to be 2020. So it's weird they're releasing this display now. If it's just being reviewed late, I don't know, but it's out there. So reflections are, what I mean is the numbers are based on the year, the corresponding year. So sometimes TVs like the OLEDs don't go up and up and up and up because they'd all be 10s. So they have to keep the numbers within a realm of realistic in correspondence to each other. That makes no sense, but we're going to go with it. Reflections are poor. Screen reflections, not a big deal to me, but can be a big deal to you guys. There are some ports here where it does go down that I think it is important. TV shows, it shouldn't be less. Sports, this is due to its motion handling and screen uniformity, which we're going to get into. Same type VA, the design is better. Again, that's what a lot of these companies are looking to do, is make a more elegant design. It is thinner, I should say, or leaner. A different wall mount will be needed as far as, well, not a different wall mount, they are flexible. Has a thinner design, thinner bezel. Heat is better. These are the things that save power, which is important to a lot of people. Now here it'll say the picture quality is better by 1 point. That is negligible. The contrast better last year by 1 point. You'll see why in a second. The native contrast ratio was higher last year without local dimming enabled. Contrast with local dimming, it is higher this year. More effective local dimming could be the case. You see the local dimming number is higher. The contrast is higher this year with local dimming, which is really all we care about. Most of us don't turn off our local dimming. So the number is lower in one instance and higher. So native contrast ratio a bit lower, higher with local dimming enabled, which is really what a lot of us care about. Still full array. Here's where the numbers do change, not for the better. I think for a lot of people this is perhaps to control blooming, but the SDR real C and peak brightness is down across the board. Left is the older display, right is the newer display. We saw some of this with the Video Quantum XP series where it was down in a couple numbers, but this is the older one, broke 1,000 in 2 measurements, sustained 25% window, also 10% window. It did not break that on the right. Now again, guys, this might be a panel by panel variance. It does happen, but you don't want to see those numbers go down at all. HDR peak brightness, same. Lower across the board. It does break 1,000 in the same 25% window and the sustained 25% window, but it is down across the board. That's the first knock on it. Again, this video is just to show you what is different from last year. The big thing for me, and I do expand on this in the full review, is screen uniformity, which we had all hoped was going to be better, is still bad. And none of us want to really hear that. Gray uniformity, guys, to me is huge. It is what you see. If you culminate that with, or combine that, I should say, with motion handling and poor gradients, that's what makes the displays look like they have crazy dirty screen effect. And a lot of dirty screen effect ends up being just gray uniformity mixed with poor gradients and artifacting with motion is the perfect storm for what looks like terrible dirty screen effect. So they have not improved that, and that is very disappointing, guys, because these are not cherry-picked displays. Now, this is also what you won't hear from Digital Trends and a lot of the other websites like CNET. This is where I do like Rtings, not knocking those other websites, but I do like Rtings, as this is the stuff you see at home. And this is where you guys scratch your head and say, should I bring it back? And this is what tortures a lot of us. So if that's not good to see, not happy to see that. Because it was thought that this got better. And with mini LED, guys, this will be an issue. If they haven't cleaned that up, unless that is their premium brand and they're exponentially better with it, you'll have uniformity issues with mini LED, which we'll see when Rtings gets their hands on it. Black uniformity. Let's see. Black uniformity was okay. Here it is. Better, much improved black uniformity, probably due to the better local dimming. So that's good to see. Again, the gray uniformity is not local dimming disabled. That's just screen uniformity. So black uniformity is better, which is great. Local dimming is better. Reflections are worse, which is actually surprising. Again, if that's super important to you. Reflections are not super important to me, but I'm in a dark room. So if you're in a bright room, that might be an issue. But that's a pretty big drop off. Few point swing we're okay with. Out of the box color accuracy is a huge difference. If you're not going to get your display calibrated, again, that could be a unit by unit basis, but that is surprising to see. As anything in red, guys, red and yellow is not anything that you want when it comes to Rtings. Wide color gamut. They have everything in the same picture modes because they are corresponding with each other. They are the same, number. 480p, upscaling is fine. 1080p, fine. What's interesting is to see 4K be a 9. Typically, they'll have 4Ks at, perfect. It displays 4K. So 4K looks good. They're happier with this year's color gamut. Higher coverage of DCI. Higher coverage of Rec 2020. So overall, better color volume, which is great to see. This is where I'm still struggling, though. Same with the Vizio, is gradients. Now, gradients, you'll see that with your movies and with your gaming, but you mix that with poor screen uniformity, and that's where things really look, you see artifacting all over the screen, and that's something I didn't want to see either. Same with the Vizio, is it does, even if the gray uniformity is okay, it makes you look like you have uniformity issues, which is troubling. We do want to see these numbers get better. There aren't any displays that are perfect, by the way, but we want to see that better if we can. This is the other one that I'm struggling with, and this is a big one. Response time. Pixel response. 8.4 last year, which is pretty good. Even though it's high up there, you want to have a fast pixel response. 7.9, though it's still green, we want it to be better than that. Because playing games, especially gaming, where you're not really adding motion interpolation to make the soap opera effect, if you're staying in game mode, that's where you'll see that blur. And for those of you that have had displays that blur, I had the Sony 940E, which is beautiful. It had a lower pixel response than this. It was very noticeable. Now, will 7.9 translate to poor gaming experience? They have not listed that here, but I'm telling you that, in my opinion, that is not a great number in comparison to what it was. If it was 7.9 last year, but 7.9 this year, it just should not be lower. It just shouldn't. So that, to me, would be a no-go. As far as gaming, which a lot of you are buying these to game. Response time, as you can see, is higher. 80%. And you would like to have these numbers overall just to be lower. You can see what the difference is. But look at the tools. I mean, that's showing you what the difference is, which is great. Definitely support these guys. Check out their channel. Check out their website. A lot of us wouldn't, the work they do really does bring a lot of this to the surface. Dimming frequency, faster now. Black frame insertion, I would say would be better now. It doesn't darken the image as much as it did with Sony with the clear. Motion ablation, same numbers. Variable refresh rate not available. No VFR support. This is a lot of common stuff. The inputs, though, this is where some of you guys are going to get a little upset, and I understand. Input lag is better across the board, but what's going to get some of you, I hope it gets fixed, is supported resolutions, which is why I had a lower PC score. 1080p, this is for PC players. 1080p at 60 hertz at 4:4 chroma is not supported. That is huge. Also, 1080p at 120 hertz is not supported, which it wasn't last year either, but the 4:4 chroma is a big deal. Maybe console gamers won't get that, but for PC gamers that maybe even aren't even using HDR, 444 chroma is a big deal. As far as text being clear, my PC has got 444 chroma. It can be patched later, but to me, it is a big deal. It's something that's gonna turn off a lot of you guys. Other than that, everything else is pretty much the same as last year. Sound is not great, but we're gonna look at the full review really quickly and just come to an end. In closing, it's still a great display. It is still, in comparison to, say, the M series, H9F is a bit better. I think the Vizio Quantum P series is still better, but it's still a great choice. However, some of these things are troubling. The sports, you're going to see problems with that, with the gray uniformity and the motion, duplication of the motion. As you can see right here, typically with LEDs, this is typically wide viewing angle. Noticeable motion artifacts is something that is going to be hard for me. That I would not purchase this display on this alone. A lot of you guys complained about the motion with last year's TCL 6 series, with it flickering during gaming. We'll bring that up here in the motion, interpolation. But here with the gray, the different brightness, but we get into gray uniformity. Gray uniformity varies. The TCL 6 series has only decent, significant vertical banding across the entire screen. Darker corners, which is normal, especially disappointing for sports fans. Let's see, really quickly I get into... And touching on the motion, it's this. Overall motion handling has a fast response time, which always sounds like they're contradicting themselves. But the backlight always flickers, which some of you saw with last year's 6 series. It is down, and that is going to be a problem with gaming. With panning, with fast movements, it's going to be an issue. Is this display something I would still recommend? Absolutely. I mean, Dolby Vision, full array local dimming, very good picture quality. Just know that it's not as good as last year's on some pretty important points that we care about as far as picture quality. It's still a great value. I'm just here to tell you that there are differences between this year and last year, and to make that decision for yourself if those differences are enough not to purchase it. It's not as bright as last year's, higher contrast ratio with local dimming enabled, but some of those other parts of it, the motion, not as bright, those things would change my decision, especially the motion handling. I hope these things improve. I'm Brian from Whisper Status. Thank you as always, and I will talk to you soon. Let me know what you think in the comments. TCL Series 6, 2019. Take care.